You finally catch it on, Bill. All right. Good evening.
Good evening.
Are we feeling mundane, sacred, or profane today?
One of those.
Or a little bit of all of them? You know, we explored paradox, right? I think we beat paradox from one side to the other. Really interesting month. But now that we've done that, we're gonna delve into ways that we categorize life. You know, how do we break things up and categorize, separating, sometimes judging based on perceived importance, like what we think is important. We're going to examine each of the three things in the title: the ordinary, mundane life, the perceived sacred life with its rules and its practices, the profane or secular or not spiritual life. And finally, in the last week, we'll reveal the aha, the oh my, that guess what? The mundane, the sacred, and the profane are all aspects of the one. As humans, we learn to categorize different aspects of life. We may want to live in a state of excitement, doing meaningful, challenging activities all the time. That'd be exhausting, right? But sometimes we compare ourselves. We compartmentalize. I want to be making a difference in the world. And I can say, looking around the room and knowing the people online, we want to make a difference in the world in whatever way that we can. But we find that there are all these mundane things that we need to keep doing, like the dishes and the shopping and the cooking and the taking out the garbage and all of those things. We know that life could be so much more if we didn't have to deal with the mundane. But what if the mundane were just as sacred and just as important and valuable as everything else? And I love this Ernest Holmes quote from the book Ideas of Power. Jesus taught them, saying, "Blessed are the pure of heart, for they shall see God." And then Ernest says, he meant right here, right now, this morning. This isn't Jesus wasn't talking about some future thing, right? That we'll be blessed. We're going to bless the pure of heart so that we can see God right here, right now, this morning. What do most of us do when we wake up in the morning? We're looking our best, right?
Well,
A little bit of a stretch. I have rooster head, right? Shuffle, feel maybe a little aching pain in my toes or my feet as I start to wake up. Like right there, right now, right that point in the morning, we're seeing God. So it's interesting when we think about this. We all start out by seeing everything as the unique experience that it is. And as our life experiences start to increase, we start to label some things as work and other things as play. We can get caught up in seeing all the work we have to do. And this attitude generalizes everything seeming like work. Like, for example, let's say we get an idea to go plan a party. And this is an example of Kim. I'm going to plan a party, and that sounds like fun, right? Now, Marguerite's not here today, but I bet you she takes great joy in creating a party. But if Kim says, "Hey, I'm going to have friends over," she starts to feel like work. Now I've got to clean the house and get the stuff and right? But what about even just something simple as rearranging a schedule to have lunch or go for a walk with friends? Things that we want to do or be excited about can feel more like work than play. When we no longer see life through the eyes of a preschooler, okay, then play starts to feel like work. Think for a moment about some of the preschoolers you've known in your life, or when you were a preschooler. They see everything as play. If mom or dad are cleaning the toilet, can I help clean the toilet? You take out the vacuum cleaner. Ooh, can I do vacuum? Right? oh my gosh, you take out a feather duster for a kid, a preschooler? Can I feather dust the house, mom and dad? Can I rake the leaves with you? Now, when I think of every one of those things in general, I think of it as the mundane, right? Things that I gotta do, that there's part of my responsibilities, right? Now, y'all remember Elizabeth Gilbert's Eat, Pray, Love. We've called on Elizabeth Gilbert over the years. Great movie with Julia Roberts, I think. Yeah. So during one of her phases when she went to an ashram, she spent 5 hours a day scrubbing the floor of the temple. This scrubbing was her assigned sacred service at the ashram, also her working meditation. She said, I realized that I would probably love scrubbing a temple floor for hours if it was called sacred service. I'd feel spiritual fulfillment and meaning knowing that I was scrubbing the grout for the community and above all, for God. This then begged the question, why didn't I call the work that I was doing sacred service? Why not see my labors at home as being my home community service for God? We come to this life, like I said, to experience, right? And knowing that we're one with everything, we can get caught up in this physical life and linear time. And why? So it gives us the contrast, right? We came to this world to experience life. We dropped into this realm to experience life. And without the contrast of scrubbing the toilet to falling in love, without the contrast of doing the chores around the house and getting that amazing job, there wouldn't be that contrast. If we can see everything that we do experience as the gift and be grateful for it, the good and the bad, as something sacred, then we can have this experience. Now, I don't know what it is. I've thought about this and I'm grateful for it. But the people who know me in my life, I pretty much do everything I do joyfully. And I am, believe me, grateful for that. I got an extra dose of positivity when I got dropped on this planet. And of course, I'm grateful for whatever biochemistry that was in the elixir of life. I'm grateful for the parents that I have and the family that my friends, family of choice and my family of birth. But like my nieces, especially my niece Emily, she's like, Uncle Jeffy, when you come to Jersey, you're so excited about everything. Like I've never known anyone make food so excited. Like as soon as I get there, they know I'm going to say, when are we going for pizza? Jersey pizza, it's the best. When can I go to the deli and get some Wise potato chips that you can't get here? When we go to the beach, I'm excited. Are the waves going to be great for surfing or for jumping today? There's a general excitement about it. So I don't have an answer for that, the why of that. I tend to be pretty enthusiastic about everything. And I keep adding things to my plate. And eventually I go, ooh, there's too much on there. It feels heavy. I need to shift. So I share that just to say, like, when we can find joy in the little things of life, right, and reflect on that, then it helps bring us more of that energy. We're going to look at some spiritual principles today, including oneness, love, being spiritual beings, and heaven on earth. Oneness doesn't evaluate its creative expression as good or bad, right? Oneness is all-encompassing of everything that we label as good or bad. But oneness could care less. Oneness/God could care less, right? Doesn't label exciting or dull, mundane or thrilling. All is loved equally by spirit without distinction. And as we remember that we are spiritual beings having spiritual experiences in human form, we can begin to release those assessments and just experience life, thus realizing that we already are within heaven. Spiritual practices, including mindfulness, those moments of quiet and practicing the presence, being with the sacredness of what is, self-awareness too, paying attention to when we label, judge, and disconnect from reality. And finally, the aspect of gratitude, simply being grateful for everything that is. That was my, in my budgeting software, you get to put a little tagline for the month. And I always think like, what's mine going to be this month? And this month I put in gratitude for it all. Knowing that there are going to be some days when I'm going to miss the mark. There's going to be some days when, oh, by the way, we need a new roof. That those things happen. It's important to express and share that gratitude for those things as much as we share it for the things that are labeled and judged being great. So one of the first things to share is the concept of being present. As human beings, as I said earlier, we learn to categorize, assess, judge, and compare. This is an important function of our brains. How do we walk through life deciding? However, it also can lead to incorrect assessments, and it can cut us off from experiencing this moment right now, just as it is. In our daily lives, we determine what's important and what is not based on how we categorize things. But what if we're wrong sometimes, right? What if those tasks that we see as unimportant, ordinary, and mundane are actually gateways to seeing the infinite? What if they're pathways to seeing ourselves? Brother Lawrence, who wrote The Practice of the Presence of God, received lots of his insights while washing dishes and cooking and making sandals. Brother Lawrence always began his tasks with a short prayer to God, recognizing God's ever-presence, asking for guidance in whatever task he was about to begin. Dolores, I think I remember you hearing you do this, or something like it, right? Mm-hmm. God, I'm so grateful for this right now. What if we tried that before taking out the garbage? Randy, you're going to try that tonight. Because Randy often, those who don't know, Randy often goes around and empties all the trash cans before we go home. And we're grateful for that, right? What if we tried that before going grocery shopping? It's important to be present while we do these tasks. I heard the story recently from the minister who helped craft some of these notes about a friend who recently bought a kitchen knife on Amazon. Now, being a good Amazon shopper, he reviewed the reviews before buying the knife. And one of them said, "This knife is too sharp, it cut me." He laughed about that first level of consciousness focus of the reviewer who bought the knife. It was done to me, right? Done to me, victim. A few days after he received it, he was drying it off, not paying attention, and cut a big old gash in his finger. Amid the blood and the pain, he was laughing, recognizing how his subjective mind had picked up on the reviewer's thought. He also took the opportunity to recognize that the knife did not cut him. He had cut himself with the knife. Additionally, notice he'd been thinking about something else and not being present for the drying of the knife. It's a powerful reminder to be present, even with the mundane things such as drying our dishes. David Robinson, the minister who helped with these notes, also shared a story about a friend who used to photograph with the local camera club. They would go to beautiful places and do their photography. His friend, who was a practicing Zen Buddhist at the time, would notice where all the rest of the club members were looking and taking their photos, and he would turn the opposite direction to see what was happening. He always returned to win the award with his photographs. And the other club members would always ask, "Where was that picture taken?" And he would reply that while they were looking at the big, obvious beauty, he was finding the beauty in the unattended places. We are conditioned to believe that our lives should be about big activities and those high moments. We can often be addicted to those stimulation experiences, the roller coaster of the movies we choose sometimes. We spend maybe 10 minutes a day in meditation, perhaps with a restless mind, and then head off to a busy, restless day. Finally, some of us fall into a restless sleep, Our thoughts are in the past or the future, but not right here. Yet we know the presence is here, not somewhere out there. Can we turn in the opposite direction of our training and see the beauty and the sacred in exactly what we're doing now? Can we stop waiting for something exciting to happen and be fully present with what is? And there should be some yeses in this room. So I know a lot of you do this, right? Can we take a breath and return to the moment? You know, you've heard the question, what comes after enlightenment? And the Buddhist answers, before enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. And after enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. We live as humans, no matter how enlightened. We are here to experiencing the spiritual in the human form, and all of it is a wonderful dance of life. To believe that enlightenment transform us to where so-called mundane tasks are no longer necessary is a fantasy. Now, I imagine our celebrities who have people to take care of their every need may do a little less mundane, but guess what? They got plenty of mundane still in their lives. In the old days, carrying water from the river for cooking and cleaning, gathering firewood for cooking and warmth were the basic necessities for oneself and the community. In the hero's journey and in the Zen life, the enlightened one often returns to society. But whereas before enlightenment, all had been duty and obligation, in which the seeker had gone off in the struggle, after enlightenment, the same tasks were done with joy for the sake of the tasks themselves. The Zen teacher Layman Pong said, "How miraculous and wondrous hauling water and collecting firewood." When we climb out of our categorization of things as mundane, we truly see it all as it is, all is spirit. The Trappist monk Thomas Merton met a Zen novice who had just finished his first year of monastery. Merton asked the novice what he had learned during the course of his novitiate, half expecting to hear encounters and enlightenment, discoveries of the spirit, even altered states of consciousness. But the novice replied that during his first year of the contemplative life, he had simply learned to open and close doors. Learn to open and close doors. The quiet discipline of not acting impetuously, of not running around slamming doors, of not hurrying from one place to another, was where the novice had begun and maybe ended in their process of spiritual growth. Merton loved the answer. He learned to open and close doors, for it exemplified for him play at its very best, doing the ordinary while being absorbed in it intensely and utterly. So, when we rise out of our conditioning, we can look around with clear eyes, clear minds, and see what truly is. But just like climbing a tree or a mountain to gain a higher perspective, it takes effort. It takes effort to look around with clear eyes and clear minds. Old tracks of labeling things as mundane and worldly and unimportant will keep us bogged down in the fogginess of mind. Always seeing the grass greener over there will keep us focused over there and not right here in the moment. When we reorient ourselves to view everything we do as a meditation, when we reorient ourselves to see everything we do as a meditation, we can begin to let go of the wandering, worrying monkey mind and let our attention rest right where we are. So this week, make a mental note or set a reminder during the day to practice coming to center and just being with what you're doing. This is a great practice to do when we can remember it. It may be standing in line at a store or sitting in traffic or taking out the garbage or some other mundane task. And flip your thinking to say, this is the most important sacred moment of the day right here. I know that oneness is right here, and I choose to notice it. Practice being here right now. Namaste. Let us do a quick prayer and stop recording. Or actually, I can pray.
You can pray and then stop.
Yeah.
Put it on there.
We're gonna pray. All right, let's just breathe in this moment as if it's the only moment. Infinite source of all life that is. I speak this word of truth in the first person, knowing for myself and speaking this word that in this world of oneness, there is but one. It includes the mundane, the sacred, and the profane. And in this moment, I recognize that, boy, as we sit here in this moment, we can pause and know that sitting here is this moment. That in this moment, there is everything needed for our lives. There is within us the energy of love and peace and wholeness and abundance. So let's breathe that in. And as we move out from this day, let's remember with the intention to recognize while walking to the car or gassing up the car or going to the grocery store or feeding the dog, that right where we are, God is, and that this moment is as important as any other moment that ever existed. Recognizing and blessing that we live and move and have our beings in God, as God, with God, which includes every step throughout the day. Let's focus our attention on being enough, finding joy in the moments of the routine tasks of living, with gratitude for all of the quantum movements that are transpiring to allow our bodies to do the work and our minds to think and all of this energy to happen so that we can have a healthy, whole, and balanced life. And so I'm filled with gratitude for this. Grateful for all that we label this way or that way, knowing there's only one way, and that is the way of spirit. Spirit as us, having our life, chopping wood and carrying water, and shining a healthy smile of love on those who cross our paths. And so this prayer is let go. It's let go into the fertile soil of life, into the law that says yes to this word. And I release it gently out into the ether. And so it is.
So it is. Thank you.
Who's got something to say?
That whole thing about